Hi, I'm Laura Emery.
And I'm Parker Coolis, and we are the hosts of the MEMS News Show. To kick things off, we're going to be interviewing Miss Smith about our wonderful compost program.
Hey, this is G, and today we're going to be doing a story on composting.
Hi, G.
Why did you choose to start the composting at MEMS?
I started the composting at MEMS because it's very important for our environment and because we now have a law in the state of Vermont that says everybody needs to compost. Composting turns our food waste into soil to grow our food.
How long have you been doing composting for?
We've been composting at MEMS for about 6 years.
Where does the compost go?
The compost, when it's finished with our compost piles, goes over to our community garden where we have a school garden growing vegetables for the cafeteria. Well, we start out with the food scraps and we combine food scraps with leaves, which are carbon. The food scraps are nitrogen. You mix them together in a compost pile, and they also need water and oxygen. So we turn our pile every 10 days to allow oxygen to get into the pile.
And how much has compost decreased the waste that MEMS throws away?
Between composting and recycling, we have turned our two 30-gallon trash buckets into 1/4 of one trash bucket.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith, for being on this interview. And
You're welcome.
We're here to turn the compost. How do we do it?
Okay, I'm so glad you're here. The first thing you have to do is take the bungee cord off of this bin and open this up. You want to lift it up and put it into a spot that's out of your way. Now, you're going to take this compost and put it in there. And this compost is almost a month old. You take your pitchfork and just take a little bit in like that, exactly, and bring it over here.
So this is a month old and it already so why does it already look so much like dirt if it's only a month old?
The bacteria have eaten all the food, and the compost was 140 degrees and probably is still hot today. If we were to open one of the others, you'd actually see steam coming out of the compost. All of our food scraps go to the garden to be made into more food for us to turn into food scraps to go back to the garden.
Is there meat in this compost?
Yes, there is meat in this compost. The reason we can put meat in the compost is because we get it to 140 or 160 degrees.
Do other animals come to this spot to see if they can get food?
There are a lot of birds that come in, and chipmunks, but I've not had a problem with any bigger animals.
Why is it important to take the temperature of the compost?
Because you want to make sure you get it up to 140 or 160 degrees to decompose, especially the meat. If you don't get it hot enough, you're going to get flies and other bugs that you don't want. It won't decompose and it'll get smelly.
What is the average of the temperature that normally is recorded here?
140 degrees is average. It gets as hot as 160.
What happens if there's plastic in it? Because I see a piece of plastic there.
That's a good point. Every now and then some plastic gets into the compost and we take it out. You could just scrape it out with your pitchfork and we'll put it into the trash.
Why can't the plastic go in the compost?
Plastic will never decompose.
Because I've heard that it only breaks down, but it doesn't come.
That's correct. It only breaks down and it doesn't ever decompose. So if you're interested in helping with the compost and helping with our school garden, you can contact me here at school. And the compost gets turned twice a week. So I need somebody to do this. I need several people that can do it 2 times a week. And did you think this was hard to do?
No, not really. It's quite simple.
All right. If you're interested in helping out with the compost, I'd love your help.
Thank you, Miss Smith. Next up, we have Parker Coolis interviewing Stephen for the new Starbucks coming into town.
Today I'm here with Steve, who's a member of the Manchester Select Board, to interview him about Starbucks coming into town. So Steve, as a member of the Select Board, how do you think Starbucks will impact our community?
I think that Starbucks coming to Manchester is going to be a good thing. The concern that I would have is that there is a lot of competition, and pricing is definitely a factor for the consumers that will be going there. You know, an average cup of coffee now is anywhere from $1 to $2.50. Starbucks coming in, their average cup of coffee can range anywhere from $2 to $6. So their survival is what's going to be crucial in the area as far as affecting the community. You know, competition in a sense is good, but I think we need to really be concerned of pricing and other businesses, homespun private businesses survive as well.
So what do you think are going to be some of the positive and negative impacts that it will have?
Well, I think positive, it's going to offer possibly a bit more variety to the area. The negative would be that, you know, we have a big tourism industry here in Manchester and in the Shires, and that when those tourists are not here with us, are the local people going to support a Starbucks? If they don't, their survival could be limited to survive here in town, because you have to have a certain, I'm sure they set a certain budget that they have to meet, and you know, I think at times that tends to be why some of your outlet stores depart Manchester so quickly.
So why do you think there has been so much controversy around Starbucks coming to Manchester?
Well, Manchester started as a smaller community, privately owned businesses, and now we're obtaining some large chain spun businesses. The first one being Friendly's, which came to us back in the 70s, which is now closed. Then McDonald's came into town, which was a long fight on their part. I think the chain business has a lot of effect on the smaller businesses in town, because generally the larger chains can afford to charge less amount of money for their product, but in this case with Starbucks, I think their pricing is a bit high for the local community.
So do you think that if Starbucks is successful, that Manchester will get any other chain businesses?
I think it's really hard to tell at this point. The vacancy of businesses in town, there are few right now, vacant buildings. The tenant rent is rather high per square foot. So it really depends on what these bigger chain businesses are looking at paying for rent, and assuming that they make their budget. I don't see any big box stores coming into town at all. When I say big box, I mean TJ Maxx, businesses similar to that. Because of our zoning bylaws, the square footage of the businesses are limited.
Well, thank you for coming.
Well, I'm glad to help you and further your career. Is this something you want to do?
I think maybe.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Next up, we'll be talking to our young learners at MEMS. what's your name?
Gabe.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
Green, that's a great color. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's your name?
Graham.
All right, and what would you do if you had $1 million?
My brother would get himself something.
What?
I'd give him everything.
So, why do you think boats float in the water?
Because of the water.
The water, like what? So why don't they just sink to the bottom?
Because the water has more air than the earth does.
Yeah, the water has more air than the earth does, so that's why it floats.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was a really good answer.
Next up, we have an interview with Mr. Wallace.
I'm here with Mr. Wallace to interview him about the new dismissal procedures this year. So, there have been a lot of new changes in the dismissal process this year. How did these changes come about?
Well, it's been a long process. We started a group of teachers and administrators last year, got together in April, and we realized that there were some things that we could do better around the school. And then finally, over the summer, that same group of about 12 or 13 teachers and Mrs. Tenner got together for about 7 days over the summer, and we really looked at our procedures and our protocols of how the school is kind of operated with our systems, and we came through with some new procedures and a new committee that looks only at the community and the, how kids are affected and how to really improve things around the school.
So why did you start the dismissal process?
Well, that same group, we found we wanted to take a piece of the puzzle that was the most problematic, and everybody felt that dismissal, the way it had been done last year, where everybody was just kind of dismissed in groups. We decided to take a look at dismissal first as our first real thing to hit and improve.
So, like, what did you change in this dismissal procedure, and like, what are some like the big changes that you made?
Right. So the biggest change was that instead of just kids being dismissed and leaving the classroom in big bunches without a lot of teacher supervision, we really tried to make it much more structured and efficient. So in grades pre-K through 6, the classes walk with their teacher, and they walk in nice orderly lines to where they need to go, whether it be the buses or the waiting area for trip 2 or after school or the parent pickup line. And middle school students walk with their teachers, not in a line, but in large groups, but talking quietly and trying to be respectful, walk down to either the bus or the front where they're picked up or they walk. So the whole goal was to make it more respectful, more safe, more structured, so kids have a better experience when they're leaving school.
Yeah. So, like, what feedback have you gotten from the staff and from students?
We've gotten a lot of really great feedback. Everybody thinks that it's people are being more respectful, that it's safer. A big concern last year was with the younger kids, with the middle school students, that they basically were afraid of the kids because it was loud and people were running and pushing and whatnot, and they were afraid to go down certain areas of the hallways, and that's completely stopped. And we're seeing the school opening up to everybody and fitting everybody's needs as well as they're being dismissed. Bus drivers have said that behavior on the bus is better. Kids are coming to the bus calmer and a better frame of mind, so they're sitting down and following the bus rules much better. Because the system is tiered and not just all at once, the traffic out in front is less congested, and it's easier for the buses to get out. It's easier for parents to pick up their students as they go by. And it's been a really positive thing so far.
Yeah.
It's been positive, but we're always looking for feedback, like you said. And so we've already made a number of little changes to the procedure to make it more efficient.
Yeah.
The buses were leaving the first couple days at around 3:15. We've tweaked the system a little bit, so now the buses are leaving at 3:05, 3:06. So overall, the dismissal time is much less than it was last year.
Yeah.
So there are big changes, but it's actually more efficient, and it's a better process.
So where can parents find information about these changes?
So there's a couple different venues. The website, the MEMS website, has a page about dismissal. I believe on the Facebook page as well, there's some information. There was a letter that went home at the beginning of the year And then certainly in the administration or myself or any of the students' teachers will have information or be able to point parents in the right spot for additional information. So,
Well, thank you for coming and talking to us about the dismissal procedure.
absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wallet. Next, Laura will be interviewing the 5th graders in the community garden about pink pumpkins.
Hi, I'm Laura Emery, and I'm here with Nevaeh. So, Nevaeh, why are you growing pink pumpkins?
We are growing pink pumpkins to help raise money for cancer awareness.
Wow. How much do they cost?
I think first it was $10 for the big ones and $5 for the smaller ones, but we've lowered the prices. $5 for the big ones and $3 for the small ones.
Thanks. What makes them pink?
Something in the fertilizer. We planted something in the ground where the soil is to help them change the color of them.
So you just use regular pumpkin seeds and put the fertilizer and makes them pink?
I'm pretty sure. But it's not, it's something in the fertilizer. It's not specifically the fertilizer.
Do you think everyone's working well together as a grade and as a group?
Yes, I think we're doing a really great job and everyone has been working together. We've gotten the pink pumpkins out. Everyone has had a chance to pick a pumpkin of their own and help collect the vines out of the garden.
How many pumpkins did you guys pick?
There was a total of, I think it was a little over 20, but we sold quite a bit of them.
So, are the pink pumpkins carvable?
The pink pumpkins are like any other pumpkin. You can carve them, you can put a light in them, and yes, they are edible.
Thank you, Nevaeh.
Hi, I'm Thomas Redmond, and I'm here with 2 3rd graders. This is
Jack.
And this is
Emery.
Okay, so Jack, what is the bucket and dipping process?
Really, bucket filling, bucket dipping is when you are mean to people, and that's how it empties their bucket of happiness.
Okay. Emily, how can you dip a bucket?
By being mean to someone and hurting their feelings and saying something mean about them. Like, I don't like your pants.
Okay. And Jack, how can you fill a bucket?
You can be nice to people, you can ask them nice questions, and have comments to them.
Nice. Emily, why is it good to fill a bucket?
Because when you're filling somebody else's bucket, you're filling your own bucket, and that will make you feel happy inside.
Okay. Why is it harmful to dip a bucket, Jack?
Because people sometimes don't like it, they feel uncomfortable with it.
Okay. Now, Emily, is it a real bucket or a fake bucket?
It's it's just an imaginary bucket. It's kind of like your happiness level.
Tyler, have you ever dipped a bucket?
Well, yes, but after I felt really bad because it hurt my feelings and the other person's feelings too.
Is the bucket a real bucket or a fake bucket to you?
Well, it's kind of real, but it's kind of fake because it's kind of real because it's kind of a big deal. Because if you're mean to someone, they might not be your friend anymore. But if you're nice to more people, then you will get more friends, and it's kind of fake because it's not like it's something you can carry around. It's something that floats next to you, basically.
Joe, why is it good to fill a bucket?
Because it would mean good karma, so that means good things happen to you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the MEMS News Show.
I hope you join us next time on our next episode.